I did a benefit at this theater in Beacon Theater. I forget what the hell the goddamn benefit was, but it was the sickest lineup I was ever on. It was Jon Stewart was hosting. Max Weinberg brought his band. Tony Bennett goes on first. Then Bruce Springsteen. Then they auctioned off one of his guitars to this rich crowd that goes for like $100,000. Then fucking Joe McHale had to follow that. Like Joe McHale's he has to have the I followed fucking story, right? And then I went up after him, which, you know, he was the total buffer to get it back to, all right, settle down your expectations. This is what you paid for here, right? And Seinfeld was closing. That was the lineup. And I remember when I was doing my set, I was conscious about not being too dirty because, I mean, Seinfeld's like the king. And I remember looking over, I was getting close to the end of my set, and he was standing on the side of the stage, and, you know, the light was behind him, so he was like backlit. And I knew who he was with his silhouette. Like, that's how famous this guy is, and to me. And it wasn't just Jerry hanging out. He had the suit on. It was Jerry ready to go to work. And I was immediately thinking, like, oh, my God, am I being too blue? Is he going to hate me? Am I pissing him off? Am I going over? And I remember when I got off stage, he went like, I walked by him, and I was almost afraid to say hello. I just like walked by, and he just went, very funny, very funny. And then I apologized for working, you know, the way I do. I said, oh, sorry, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I don't care. You almost like laugh, like, dude, I don't give a shit. And I'm thinking, like, that's right. This guy always worked clean, and he worked clean before there was even comedy clubs. So I can't imagine him going on after these guys who would chug a beer and then burp and be like, that's what I learned in college. And, like, that sort of energy is fun, but it whips him into, like, this frat boy frenzy.
Yeah.
And then you got to go up there, and if you have, like, a more of a, you know, just straight-laced kind of like, yeah, I mean, I have a beer every once in a while, but guys, like, I'm not letting this totally affect my life, you know?
First of all, I love the fact that you did that. That's the training you got in Boston to go, I'm part of the show. I know I'm not closing, so I'm going to respect the headliner.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
how he works. A lot of guys
that was another.
that.
That was another way that you would get blackballed. I remember there was a comedian up there, Mike Donovan. You ever work with him?
I know who he is.
Fucking hilarious guy, and he used to always say this thing was hilarious, and he'd be like, yeah, just go up there, you know, do like 20 minutes, you know, keep it like, you know, 3 to 5 fucks is what he would say. It is the thing. He wasn't bullshitting. He was like, people in Boston counted your fucks. So I remember, you know, sometimes going over it and being in a panic, like, oh my God, that was my 6th fuck. Donovan's gonna call Mike Clark, and I'm gonna be ruined in this town. I said fuck 6 times. So, I mean, I don't want to sit there and be like the old guys, and just because I don't know what it is like for kids coming up now. And when I say kids to me now are anyone up to like 32, 33. Coming up now, but I'm sure that they have their whole way that
it always changes. But I like that. But you know, Seinfeld always had that discipline. I remember working with him in these Jersey gigs. So these Jersey gigs were like $55 Jersey gigs that started. They were like the first paying gigs we could get. Go out to Jersey in some bar.
Right.
And so, you know, it's survival time in a bar. So a lot of guys would be like, what do I got to do to get by? You know, fuck with the crowd, dick jokes, whatever I got to do to get by.
Night.
Right? And I remember working with Jerry one time, and he goes on, and he'd follow all that, and he stays right to what he's doing, man. Works clean.
Brings them to him.
Right. No, but he wasn't killing. It's not like, they all came to him. They were like, oh, wait a minute, the party's over. It wasn't great. But he never broke. He never wavered. And afterwards I go, wow, man. He goes, I'm getting ready to do Tonight shows. That's what I'm preparing to do. He had the focus. He had the long-range focus. He was like, I'm practicing this material here now because I'm going to do this on the Tonight Show. Right. I'm working this out now. I'm not worried about my $55 Jersey gig.
He's one of those guys.
Long range view.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that he just fucking knew where he. I feel. He
exactly.
just knew where he was going, and he just like you'll never meet a guy that doesn't suffer fools the way he does. I still, when I get around him, I get nervous. I'm going to say one stupid thing, and I'm gonna get that look, and that's just gonna be it.
He'll turn and walk away.
The same way, like his act is the way he lives his life. There's no fat. There's no extra words or any of that type of shit. And then the guy just fucking he just walks towards what he wants, walks right through it. I mean, not like in a malicious way, just like he just eye on the fucking prize, that guy.
You know, back in the day, guys would go like, you know, I don't like his act because you don't really know who he is up there. I go, are you fucking paying attention?
Yeah.
You know what pisses this guy off? The missing sock in a fucking dryer. That's who he is, man. He's paying attention. He's fucking paying attention to the details. That's what's irritating this guy.
I did his web series one time, and I told him that. I told him how I hated that they said his show is a show about nothing. It's like, no, it isn't. This guy has contempt for 90% of people and activities. I was actually nervous saying it to him, and he laughed, and he goes, I think you're being generous by saying it, that it's only
90%.
90%. Yeah, but he's...